Hey guys, it's Crystal here. Let me apologize by saying I'm sorry that this took a 20-minute time frame for an 8-day sourdough starter from scratch. I want to say that a sourdough starter is a mixture of flour and water and contains a natural colony of wild yeast and bacteria, which is used as something that makes our dough rise instead of actually using yeast. It ferments and it causes bubbles, which is carbon dioxide, which causes that sour flavor in your final bread as well as the smell. But it is given to fresh flour and it creates an active culture. So throughout this 20 minutes, I'm not gonna really explain and go into too much detail, but I'm gonna show you the steps that I've done in order to make my sourdough active. So my first starter from scratch took 2 months for it to become active. This one took me 8 days, which is a major accomplishment for me, and I'm glad I recorded it. Here, I am putting 10 grams of tap water. You could use filtered, you could use tap. I use tap. And then my flour is unbleached organic flour. You have to use unbleached flour. That measurement was 13 grams. So keep it around 10-ish, but you can do 13. Right now I'm mixing it. I'm a sucker for a clean bowl, so you're going to see me scrape. And right after this, what we're going to do, we're going to scrape the sides. We're going to cover it, not airtight, and we're going to place it in a warm place, maybe about 75 degrees or 78 degrees. So you're going to cover it, leave it for 24 hours at that warm place, and you come back the next day. And you see me scraping and put it away, cover it, put it in its home for the next 24 hours. Now we're on day 2. It's been 24 hours since we have touched the sourdough starter. And I'm going to mix it up a little bit. I have my clean jar that I'm going to put it in. The measurement is going to be about 30 grams of water, filtered water. It could be around 30. It could be 28 like it is in the photo or in the video. And then you're going to put your unbleached flour. It should be equal measurements, equal parts. But if you mess it up a little bit, it's not going to hurt. As long as the weight is more than your starter, the paste stuff that you have. Mix it up. Then you're going to add your sourdough starter, your little paste. Put that in there with the new measurements and flour, so that way he or she can start eating. And this is also going to sit for another 24 hours. So you'll see me scrape. Do not use the same bowl. Don't use the same materials that you used yesterday. I find it that a lot of people start collecting mold, and I have not seen any mold in mine from the one previous and the ones that I've shared. Mix, 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 clean your stuff, cover it up, and put it in that warm place again for another 24 hours. It's day 3. Now we're going to take your sourdough starter out, measure 25 grams of it, and place it to the side so that way you can prep your next jar, clean jar. I do want to add that you need to clean your stuff with cold water. Let it sit maybe overnight so everything can get a little watery, and before you put it down the drain. Try your hardest not to put this stuff down the drain. So scrape it as much as you can, put it in the trash, do what you have to do. All right, so the next one is my water. I'm going to put about 25 grams of water. Then I'm going to do the same thing with the flour. It's going to be about the same. And then you're going to add your sourdough starter to the mix. Mix it up very well. This is where we're going to start feeding our sourdough twice a day on day 3. So it's going to be 12 hours apart. While I'm mixing, I'll go over the 12 hours apart feeding. And the reason why we do this is just because it's going to get hungry. You're going to notice a false rise here and now. I do not put rubber bands or markers on mine. I don't want to give it false hope in myself. So I just do that around day 8. Now you can use this after day 8. You cannot use any discard before. Discard is what you're removing and leaving in the trash. So right now, what you're going to do is you're going to cover it, put it in its warm spot, and we'll see each other in 12 hours. It's been 12 hours and now it's a little dry, which means my temperature is very high of where it's at. That's fine. But you just kind of inspect it to see if you see any mold spots. If you see green, yellow, pink, something like that, that's bad. You have to trash it and you have to start all over again. But I've done this a couple times, so we should be fine. Mix all that dryness in there. You kind of feel the texture. If it's really hard, throw it away, the hard part away. Now you're going to take half of it and you're going to pour it into your new jar, nice and clean. And it's very thick. It's a struggle to get everything in there, but we make it work. So the measurement's going to be about 25-ish. Right now you see 26. That's fine. Then you're going to add your water. 29 grams of water. Mine is about room temperature water, so I love using room temperature. I think it kind of helps the growth and bacteria. And then what you're going to do, you're going to add your flour. It's a mess. If you don't like making a mess, good luck. If you don't like washing dishes, good luck doing all this. But I find peace in it all, and I hope you do too. So you're going to add, this is almost about equal parts of everything in this second feeding. What you're going to do, you're going to mix it like we always have, clean the jar, cover it up, put it in your warm place. If you start seeing it being too dry, then you have to add a little bit more water or just make it back up away from that heated source just a little bit. Welcome to day 4. Our sourdough, my sourdough starter is very watery right now, so that's okay. We're going to fix it in the end. This feeding, if yours comes out watery, you're going to see a very high boost in numbers. If you want to follow it, you can. If you want to stick to, one-on-one ratios and the same, please do so. Just follow what the screen says because it's watery, so you can follow it. Or you can do your 1-to-1 ratio. But if you have a day that it's a little watery, just follow this one. So I ended up putting like 55 grams of this flour just to balance it out again, which in the end at day 7, it worked for me. And I hope it works for you. You're gonna see your sourdough starter just be very moody, very sticky, very watery, really upset. I hope and I pray that you guys do not have any mold or anything happening to your sourdough ever. I have never had that, so I'm very thankful for that. But mix him up and cover him or her like you have before in the last 3 days and stick to your warm place. And I'll see you again in the next 12 hours. It's been 12 hours and I accidentally stopped recording when I took half of him out and put him into a new jar. So please do that. Take 30 grams out and place it in a new jar. I did a little inspection. Those were bubbles. It's good news. Next is going to be your water and in a clean jar, filtered water. We're adding 30-ish grams of water. Then you're going to add your unbleached flour to your water and sourdough mixer. And that's going to be equivalent. So we're doing equal parts today. You're going to mix it up, clean your bowl, cover it, and see each other in another 12 hours. Welcome to day 5, first feeding. He is doing great, and I hope yours as well. Again, that little spot at the top is just temperature. Still continues to be a little bit watery, but that's fine. The results in the end are what works for this environment. We're going to add 30 grams of our starter. Then we're going to add the same equivalent to water, which is going to be 30 grams of water. Then we're going to add our flour to the mixture. Same as always, just mix her up. And it's going to be same equivalent to the water and the starter. Mix it up, clean jar, and place in a controlled temperature location. Mine is my Sensi pot. My house is very cold, so I just put it right next to my Sensi pot, which is maybe about 75 to 78 degrees. And it's fine like that. Sometimes I put a little beanie around it and it works. Now we're on day 5, second feeding. Look how bubbly that is. People would get very excited with this thinking that it's a double in size rise, but it's not. It's a false rise. But I'm happy that there's some type of activity happening with our sourdough starter. If yours doesn't do it, please continue to try very hard. Make sure you're following the steps when it comes to temperature and cleaning stuff. Right now I'm adding 33 grams of our starter, and it's going to be the same with our water and will be the same with our flour. So I kind of messed up here. I didn't tear out my scale, so I added a little bit more flour than normal, but that is fine. That just means that it's going to eat a lot more tonight. And another thing I wanted to add is please do not put all your stuff in a dishwasher. That stuff comes with soap, which kind of messes up everything when it comes to chemicals and bacteria. So just hand wash everything as good as you can and dry it. Right now I'm showing you where it is going to sleep. Day 6 and another double in size, and it dropped. So temperature is a little bit more warmer, and that's fine. I'm going to take some of that out because it was pretty hard. So if you have that going on, just make sure that it's not all of your starter. Just put it somewhere a little bit more cooler. So today we're going to do all equal parts of flour, water, and your starter. Today was a great day for the measurements. It wasn't a big mess. So I hope you find your rhythm and what's going to get it out of there a little slower or faster with an equal scale. And it's the same. I will continue to talk about if you don't see anything happening with your starter like mine is, please continue to have patience. The most important ingredient that you can have in all this is patience and consistency. Keep feeding your starter twice a day for 12 hours apart. And just try to follow the rules. Like everything needs to be clean, sanitized, warm place, filtered water. If your tap water is kind of destroying it, you're going to start seeing me start marking it because I want to see if it's going to double in size, which it did within that 12-hour period. Today's day 6, second feed. It doubled in size, and I hope yours did too. Still a little dry. It's working for us though, so I'm going to keep putting it in the same spot just a little bit further than what I'm used to. So this one's going to be a small amount of starter with a larger amount of food because I want it to have as much food as possible, just not, over too much. So I'm going to add 20 grams of our starter, and then I'm going to add 35 grams of water and 35 grams of flour. Let's talk about the smell. So you're probably going to notice many smells like alcohol, acetone, nail polish, ripe bananas in general. It's not going to smell good in the beginning if you've never smelled this type of mixture at 6 days. And that is completely fine as long as it doesn't smell like a foot and a block of cheese or something. At the end, you'll get used to it and it'll get very smelly, kind of like a really good ripe banana. This is what made me very excited is that day 7, when it is basically an active starter, when it should be, it doubled in size. So it has doubled in size for the last 2 days. I want it to double in size for 3 days. So I'm going to mix all my hard stuff out and I'm going to measure everything again. I want another bigger feed like yesterday. So I'm going to feed it almost the exact same way that I did yesterday. Hoping that I'm going to get another double in size rise. So follow what we did yesterday, because that's basically what I'm doing right now. And you're going to mix it. Everything needs to be clean. Again, I can't harp on that. A lot of people get mold when they forget to clean something or they put something in the dishwasher and there's like food and bacteria just left in there. So I hope that yours is doing the same. If it's not, continue to do these steps. And if it doesn't work, please comment, or if you have my number or something, contact me and I'll walk you through the process. If there's no mold, you are doing everything right. And it's just your environment. If it's not hot enough, then put it in the microwave overnight. Don't turn it on. Put it in your air fryer. Put it in your oven with your oven light on. And put a sign that says, don't preheat me, because I see that happen a lot. So cover it, put it in its warm spot, mark it just to see if it's going to double in size again. And your marker does not have to be perfect. Day 7, second feeding, another double in size. And this is just me inspecting again for any type of mold. It's very important that you do that, because if you don't, you're going to catch mold and it's going to be just a waste of time that you just did. If you catch it on day 12 and you could have noticed it day 6, that's a lot of flour that you just basically wasted and a lot of hope, honestly. Today is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a higher value of water and your flour. So same starter, it's going to be 23 and your flour is going to be 50 and the water will be 50 as well. I want this to be a little bit bulkier to see what's going to happen on day 8, because I'm getting pretty excited. So if this is happening to you, please get excited too. If this is not happening to you, be excited that you don't have mold. And if you did, I'm sorry. Just start all over, follow everything again. It's very important that you just basically knock out the things to do and the things not to do, like I did. It took me 2 months my first time, like I said. So mix, put it in a warm place, and cover it, inspect it, and see you in 12 hours. I do want to add, the reason why I put the beanies around it is because I don't want a draft coming in. And I have a vent that's right above there, so I'd rather just block that draft. Welcome to day 8, and our starter is active. It's doubled in size for the past 3 days, and it's bubbly. There's a lot of activities, and mine is a he. Technically, it's a mother, so you can name it at this point. And we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna measure and feed. If you need to go and do something for the next couple of days, you can put them in the fridge, in the back of the fridge, in a closed place, but you have to airtight close it. The jars that I have that close it are in my description, so you can click and get those mason jars. I highly recommend it. They're very easy to clean. So I'm doing a lower feed right now. I want to bake with him within the next day. So what I'm doing is I'm feeding it, and I'm going to put it in a warm place again. And if this is not starting for you, please, please continue to do what this whole video is about. This portion right here is being prepared to go to the fridge, while the other portion that I could have thrown away is going to be for my recipe. So as of now, it is an active starter and it will be going in the fridge. It can be placed in the fridge for weeks, days, months, hours, whatever, until you need it. That is the sister, my original one, that's thriving as well. When you are ready to bake, please take it out, measure it. Right now, that's about 50 grams of starter to the left of what we just created. When you're ready, add what you need from your recipe into the jar and feed it. Grab from that, and then you don't have to discard anymore. This is what's called the cowboy method, is when you just have a little bit of starter and then you grab what you actually need in your flour and your water feeder, and then you do your recipe without discarding anything. But remember to always have a backup starter. So if this is 50 grams right here to the left, then my recipe says I need 200. When I mix everything should weigh 250 grams. After my 200 grams of a recipe, I should still be left with 50 grams of my starter to return cleanly back into the refrigerator.